She had finally found peace in the home she worked years to afford. But peace doesn't last long when prejudice knocks at the door. On an ordinary afternoon, a woman returned with groceries, only to be told by a stranger that she didn't belong in her own house. The tone was sharp, the judgment was instant, and the humiliation cut deep. But what happened next would shake the entire neighborhood, leaving everyone questioning what's truly right and what's dangerously wrong.
For years, Maya poured every ounce of her energy into building a stable life. She worked long shifts at the hospital, saving every extra dollar to finally afford a place of her own. When she stepped into her new home, a modest, sunlit house with a small front yard, she felt an overwhelming sense of pride. It wasn't just a house. It was proof of her persistence, her sacrifice, and her dreams finally realized. Neighbors would often see her jogging in the mornings, waving politely, or gardening with a smile on weekends. She wasn't looking for conflict, only a sense of belonging. And for a while, that's exactly what she thought she had found. But under the surface, not everyone welcomed her presence. Some whispered behind closed doors, questioning whether she fit in. Others cast subtle glances, pretending to be friendly, yet holding back judgment. Maya noticed the tension in small moments, the stares that lingered too long, the way conversations stopped when she walked by. She tried to brush it off, telling herself it was nothing. Yet deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was brewing, something that would soon test her strength, her patience, and even her right to simply exist in the place she called home.
The sun was dipping low when Maya pulled into her driveway, groceries balanced in both arms. She was humming softly, thinking about the dinner she planned to cook, when she noticed a figure standing by her front walkway. A woman with sharp eyes, dressed in a pressed dark suit, held a clipboard as if she owned the place. Maya slowed her steps, confused. The woman didn't smile. Instead, she pointed her pen toward Maya's house. "You can't be here," she said flatly, as though issuing a command. Maya froze, her mind racing. Can't be here? This was her house, her safe place. She tried to steady her voice. "I live here." The woman's lips curled in disbelief. She glanced to the clipboard, then back at Maya. "That's impossible. People like you don't own homes in this community. I'm with the HOA, and I'll need you to leave immediately before I call security." The words sliced through the evening air like a blade. Maya's hands trembled, the grocery bags nearly slipping from her grip. Her heart pounded as humiliation burned in her chest. She had worked years for this home, and now, in a single sentence, this stranger tried to strip it all away. Neighbors began to peek from behind curtains, some whispering across fences, but no one stepped forward. No one spoke up. The silence of the street was louder than the woman's accusation. Maya wanted to scream, to demand respect, but fear crept in. She thought of the stories she'd heard, how easily situations like this could escalate. One wrong move, one raised voice, and she could become the villain in someone else's twisted narrative. The woman tapped her pen against the clipboard, her tone dripping with arrogance. Last chance. Leave or face consequences. Maya stood frozen on her own doorstep, trapped between fear and fury. She had every right to push back, but could she do it alone? The weight of the moment pressed down as the watching eyes of the neighborhood turned this private humiliation into a public spectacle. And then, just as Maya opened her mouth to respond, something happened that would change everything. The standoff at Maya's doorstep grew heavier with each passing second. The woman's voice rose, carrying across the neighborhood. "This is not your home. Leave now or I'll have you removed." Maya's chest tightened, but anger finally surged past her fear.
She dropped one of the grocery bags, carrots spilling onto the pavement, and raised her voice, firm, clear, and unshakable. "This is my house. I worked for it. I paid for it. And you will not take that from me." The woman's eyes narrowed as she pulled out her phone. "Then I'll let the police handle you." Those words sent a chill through Maya's veins. She had heard this story too many times before, where the truth didn't matter, where the system looked past people like her. Neighbors edged closer to their windows, some even stepping outside now, drawn by the growing commotion. The clipboard clutched in the woman's hand seemed to symbolize authority, but it was nothing more than intimidation. Yet in that moment, surrounded by silent witnesses, it felt like the entire weight of prejudice was pressing Maya down. Tears blurred her vision, but she stood taller. "Call them! Let everyone see the truth! This is my home!" For a long second, the world went still. The only sound was the rustle of leaves in the evening air. Then one neighbor whispered, "She does live here. I've seen her every day." Another voice followed, louder, braver. "She belongs here." The silence shattered. The tide was shifting. But just as Maya felt the smallest spark of hope, the woman's finger hovered over her phone screen, ready to dial, determined to escalate the situation to its most dangerous point. The question wasn't whether Maya had the right to her home. It was whether anyone would protect that right before it was too late.
The air was thick with tension, the woman's thumb hovering over her phone screen. But then, something remarkable happened. One by one, voices rose from the quiet crowd of neighbors. A man stepped forward, shaking his head. "She's telling the truth. I've seen her come and go. This is her house." Another neighbor crossed the street, arms folded. "You're the one out of line, not her." The woman's confidence faltered. Her hand trembled as she lowered the phone, eyes darting nervously between the growing chorus of witnesses. For the first time, she realized she no longer held the power. The authority she tried to weaponize had crumbled under the weight of truth and solidarity. Maya stood rooted in place, her heart pounding, but she refused to look away. She had been humiliated, accused, and nearly stripped of her dignity, yet she remained standing, stronger, seen, supported. Eventually, the woman muttered something under her breath and stormed off, her clipboard clutched like a shield that could no longer protect her. The crowd slowly dispersed, some offering Maya quiet nods of reassurance, others embarrassed that they hadn't spoken up sooner. That night, as Maya unpacked her groceries in silence, she thought about how close she had come to being erased in her own home, how quickly bias had tried to rewrite her story, and how fragile justice can feel when silence outweighs courage. Her experience was more than just a neighborhood dispute. It was a reminder of a larger reality. Prejudice doesn't always wear a mask of violence. Sometimes it hides behind authority, rules, and false assumptions. Maya's story leaves us with a question we cannot ignore. When injustice stands at our neighbor's doorstep, will we be silent spectators or voices of truth?